Questions for Coach Mullins?
Well, you start up now the conference, and everything's kind of built up to this. Maybe wins loss wise, you're certainly not where you want to be, but you know, as a team, I know you guys came back over the weekend. As you prepare to get ready, kind of where you feel this team is at as you get ready to head into this conference play now?
Yeah, obviously we wanted to win more games. Felt like we had a chance to let one get away right before Christmas break, but that's part of learning, part of getting better, and I do think we're significantly better than we were 2-3 weeks ago, a month ago. We're healthier, but we're also playing a little bit better. We're still not, we don't have a whole lot of experience on the floor, so we're still learning as we go. The shooting is still inconsistent. We still have some defensive breakdowns. We had several of those in the fourth quarter in Chattanooga, but those are things that we're working on and trying to keep getting better each week and each day in practice. They came back with great energy. We've had really good workouts, really good practices since we've come back from Christmas break. And so, the energy's positive, and that's what you're trying to do. Learning and improving or anything, it's not always in a straight line. You have ups and downs and highs and lows, and our goal is to make sure that those lows don't erode or eat away too much of their confidence, because they're still growing, they're still learning. And so I do think that part is positive. Our ability to execute and play well on the floor comes and goes, and so that's where we still, and in hindsight, there's things I wish I would have done differently through the end of that game, but some of that is decisions that you would normally make. Now you've got to make them differently because different personnel and different places in their growth process, and so we've got to keep gearing towards March, trying to keep getting ready for Jack State and Kennesaw State, and trying to make sure that we're improving and growing as a team. And I feel like we are. I feel like we've shown that improvement, and it helps to be healthier. So we just got to keep that right mindset.
Is this almost like a fresh start?
Well, it's a fresh start from a standings perspective, but the focus is still gearing towards March, trying to make sure this team is playing their best as we get towards tournament time. And obviously we want to, and we are playing better now than we did, in November. And so we want to keep getting better as we go along. And so, we want a fresh start from a standings perspective, because now if we can go out and play well and get a couple wins, we're in a different spot from a win-loss perspective in our conference. So, everybody plays a different caliber, different type of non-conference schedule, and so some of that is hard to compare apples to apples, but I think we're still just trying to compare ourselves to ourselves. Are we improving each day in practice? Are we getting better each game in the season? And that's where we're trying to make sure we're keeping our mindset.
You talk about improving. Obviously, you probably want the record to be a little bit better for your non-conference portion, but as far as the cards you've been dealt this far in the year, do you feel like you're kind of at the right step where you want to be, where you're continuing to grow? Do you feel like you like where this team is at going into conference play?
Yeah, I do. I like where we are with our mindset to getting better in practice. And, we've already done multiple individual workouts today. We've had great, intense, and long practices since we've returned from Christmas break, and the energy's been positive. And that's been the key, is to keep that longer-term mindset and try not to let one defensive breakdown or one missed shot or one bad decision define your next decision. And so I'm trying to make sure that we're focused on that longer term perspective, and we have to. We're not in a spot where we have a trade deadline, or we have things that you can fix it with quick fixes like that. And so we have to stay focused on player development and team development. And from that standpoint, I feel like we're in the right place. Now, does that mean we're in the right place, that we're going to make the right shots and the right decisions? And no, I mean, we've done a better job in rebounding, and then we did a poor job in the second half of our last game of rebounding. We've done a really good job of particular parts of our defense, and then we've done some really poor decisions. And so those are things that we still got to continue to learn. That's what I was talking about. Learning and improving or success is not always a straight line. You have ups and downs. You got to keep your eyes focused on where you're headed and just keep working towards that. And we talk often as a team about perseverance, persistence, resiliency, making sure that you're coming in, not basing your next day of work on your last success or your last failure, that your next day's work is by itself. That's your next day's work. And so we're trying to do that and make sure that we think that if we continue to do that, we'll be at our best when it matters, and that's tournament time.
Injuries are obviously something everybody kind of goes through, but
Right.
it feels like, that you had Trinity out for a significant amount of time. That's a big piece you guys had coming in. So it's good to have her back for you guys. I mean, Selma, I can think of other people who have kind of battled in and out of the lineup. How much is the injuries? I mean, you said you're healthier now. How much has the injuries maybe kind of affected that growth in a way that, you kind of had to move some things around and shuffle some things?
No, it's not just, yes, Salma and Trinity are important parts just from missing them, but they're also, Salma, is learning to play, and Trinity's playing a different role, and so with different players, and so we needed that cohesiveness just to continue to grow together, and so that kind of broke that apart for a little while and gave some other people opportunities to play and learn some things, and hopefully that will pay off down the road. But yeah, it just kind of, it changed our learning path. It changed our learning curve, and so we had to shift on the fly and do the best we could, and we had some players step up and really battled, and then but we're healthier, and that's helped our, I feel like the last 2 or 3 weeks we've made the most progress as a team, and so now we've just got to continue to put that on the court for Jacksonville and Kennesaw.
Your first conference matchup is Jacksonville State, obviously this weekend. Tell me what you know about them so far, what you're looking ahead to for this matchup.
Yeah, they just came off of a big win, put up triple digits, and so they've got some key returning players. The Barnes kid's playing really well, about a double-double, and so we've got to make sure that we are able to contain her, and she's a handful. And so always been aggressive and physical defensively, so we'll have to continue to be strong with the ball. I think one of the areas that we've improved in that's shown up statistically recently is we've done a little better job of taking care of the ball as a team. We still have moments where different players aren't strong with the ball, or we're maybe a little careless with the ball, and so we still have improvement in that area overall, but our turnovers have come down somewhat. But we'll have to make sure that's consistent for this weekend, because both Jacksonville State and Kennesaw State can turn you over, and so we'll have to be really strong with the ball, and then we'll have to get back to work on those boards again. Like we were really battling hard, and I think in the first half at Chattanooga, I believe we had held them to 1 offensive rebound, and then we ended up losing the rebound and battle by 10. And so we've got to continue to maintain that throughout the course of the game and the season.
When you kind of see it, it looks like from the outside, and like you said, you can't really compare because everybody's playing different strengths of schedule as far as their non-conference. It looks like this might be like last year where it's kind of wide open. As a coach,
I think there's a few teams that seem like they stand out,
right.
But I think there's also more than a handful of teams that seem like they might be in a similar situation, maybe not with the injury, but with significant turnover and change. Some teams were able to replace positions or points with more experienced players. They were able to do that. Some teams have some inexperienced players, and they're learning like our players are learning, not just individually but also as a team. And so I think there are a few teams that seem like they're Louisiana Tech, Missouri State, seem like Liberty, seem like there's a few teams out there that have a jump, but then there's some others that seem like they're in a similar situation than we are.
One of the other things, didn't really see her on the bench the last couple of home games, and I had seen her in the boxes. Is there any update or anything on the status on Toby?
Right now she's at home, and there were some team rule violations that we just had to address, and so we're taking that day by day.
I know you brought up that you guys have been practicing the past couple of days after this holiday break. Just tell me, do you feel like the girls, whether you have a good non-conference schedule or a bad non-conference schedule, it's a part of the season where you can kind of reset. Do you feel like they're mentally reset going into this next part of the season?
Yeah, I was really pleased and proud of the energy and the effort that they came back for our practice after Christmas, because that was a gut punch. Our last game had played pretty well through, about 2.5, 3 quarters, and really didn't finish the game out the way we needed to finish the game. But they came back after Christmas, and we've had really good practices, intense, hard. They've been back in here in the morning today doing workouts, and so I think that's all positive, and we're gearing towards Jacksonville State, just as we did, for Chattanooga, North Dakota, and you keep going back that direction. But we're trying to make sure that our improvements are carrying forward game by game, and from that standpoint, couldn't been more pleased or excited about the energy and the effort that they brought after Christmas. Because a lot of times, you guys know, those practices after a long break aren't usually pretty practices. It wasn't necessarily a pretty practice, but they were competitive. It was high energy. We had several that had to get some Pedialyte after practice, but overall, they had a great energy about themselves and as a team since we've been back, really.